What if humans never discovered fire? No hot food, no warm homes, no metal tools, no engines, no electricity, no modern cities. In fact, the world you're living in today probably wouldn't exist. Fire is one of the biggest reasons humans became the dominant species on Earth. But here's the crazy part. The first humans didn't know how to make it. They were just as scared of fire as every other animal. So how did we go from running away from flames to carrying fire in our pockets with a simple lighter? Let's find out. Millions of years ago, the Earth was full of natural fires. Lightning would strike trees during storms. Volcanoes would throw out burning lava. Dry forests would suddenly catch fire. Animals ran away. Humans probably did the same. At that time, early humans had no idea how to create fire. The only fire they ever saw came from nature. But something slowly changed. Instead of only fearing fire, some people became curious. After a forest fire ended, they noticed something strange. The burned animals were easier to eat. The cooked plants tasted better. The fire also kept dangerous animals away. That was a huge discovery. Instead of running from fire, they started protecting it. Imagine finding a burning tree after a lightning strike. You wouldn't know how to make another fire, so that single flame would become incredibly valuable. People carefully carried burning branches from one place to another. Some groups even kept fires burning day and night because if the flame went out, they might have to wait weeks or even months before nature gave them another one. Keeping fire alive became one of the most important jobs in early human communities. But depending on nature wasn't enough. Humans wanted something much more powerful. They wanted to create fire whenever they needed it. And that took thousands of years of trial and error. No one knows the exact person who first made fire. It wasn't a single genius who suddenly figured everything out. Generation after generation kept experimenting. Some rubbed sticks together. Some hit different types of rocks. Most attempts failed. But every failure taught them something new. Eventually, someone noticed that rubbing two pieces of dry wood together created heat. Not much at first, just warmth. But if they rubbed fast enough for long enough, tiny pieces of wood turned into hot dust. That dust became a tiny glowing ember. The ember wasn't a flame yet. It looked weak. But if it was gently placed into dry grass or soft tree bark and carefully blown on, suddenly, fire appeared. That simple discovery changed human history forever. Another method was even faster. People discovered that certain rocks, especially flint, produced sparks when struck against iron-rich stones or minerals. Those tiny sparks could land on dry material and start a fire. It looked almost like magic, but it was simply science. The spark was extremely hot, even though it lasted only a fraction of a second. If the conditions were right, that was all nature needed. Once humans mastered these methods, everything began changing much faster. People could now travel farther because they could make fire wherever they stopped. Cold places became livable. Dark nights became safer. Food became easier to digest. Cooking also killed many harmful bacteria, making people healthier. Scientists even believe cooked food gave humans more energy, helping our brains grow larger over many generations. Think about that for a moment. The phone you're holding today, the internet, cars, airplanes, even space rockets. Their story may have started with one tiny flame. Fire also opened the door to another incredible discovery: metal. One day, people noticed that certain rocks changed when placed inside very hot fires. Some even melted. That led to the birth of metalworking. Copper was one of the first metals humans learned to shape. Later came bronze, then iron. Suddenly, people had stronger knives, axes, farming tools, and weapons. Entire civilizations grew because humans learned how to control heat. Without fire, there would be no blacksmiths, no factories, no industrial revolution. Fire wasn't just keeping people warm anymore, it was building the future. As thousands of years passed, humans kept improving the way they created fire. One famous tool was the fire drill. A wooden stick spun quickly against another piece of wood. The spinning created friction. Friction created heat. Heat created an ember. The process required patience, but it worked. Later, people invented the flint and steel method. A sharp strike sent bright sparks flying. For hundreds of years, travelers carried these tools everywhere they went. Starting a fire became much faster than rubbing sticks together. Then came one of the biggest inventions of all, the matchstick. Heavy stones or spending several minutes making friction, people could simply strike a small stick. Within seconds, fire. The first matches weren't perfect. Some were dangerous. Some produced toxic smoke. But inventors continued improving them until matches became safer and easier to use. And then, the lighter arrived. Today, millions of people create fire with nothing more than a quick flick of their thumb. Inside most disposable lighters is a small wheel rubbing against a special material called ferrocerium. That tiny action creates extremely hot sparks. At the same moment, fuel comes out. The spark ignites the fuel. A steady flame appears almost instantly. It happens so fast that most people never think about what's actually happening. Another common way to create fire today is through electric sparks. Have you ever seen a gas stove click before the flame appears? That clicking sound creates a tiny electrical spark. The spark ignites the gas. The result is the same thing humans have been chasing for thousands of years. A controlled flame. Even car engines rely on the same basic idea. Instead of lighting wood, spark plugs ignite fuel inside the engine. Tiny explosions happen thousands of times every minute. Those explosions push the engine and move the vehicle forward. In other words, fire is still working for us every single day, even if we don't notice it. But here's something even more amazing. Fire itself isn't actually a thing. It's a process. When fuel, oxygen, and enough heat come together, a chemical reaction begins. That reaction releases energy in the form of heat and light. Take away any one of those three ingredients. No fire. That's why firefighters often stop fires by removing heat with water or cutting off oxygen with special foam. The science is surprisingly simple, yet mastering it changed human civilization forever. Now imagine living thousands of years ago. No matches, no lighters, no electricity, no gas stoves, just 2 sticks or 2 rocks, and the hope that after several exhausting minutes, one tiny glowing ember would finally appear. That single ember could mean warm food, protection from wild animals, light during the night, and another chance to survive. It's incredible how something we now create in 1 second once required knowledge, patience, and determination. Every time you light a candle, turn on a gas stove, or use a lighter, you're continuing a journey that began hundreds of thousands of years ago. The methods have changed, the tools have changed, but the goal has always stayed the same: to control one of nature's most powerful forces. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. Human progress didn't happen because we were the strongest animals or the fastest. It happened because we stayed curious, we kept asking questions, we kept experimenting, and we never stopped learning. That curiosity turned fear into discovery, discovery into invention, and invention into the modern world we enjoy today. So the next time you see a small flame, remember, you're not just looking at fire. You're looking at one of the greatest discoveries in human history. And without it, our world would be completely different.